Hello explorers, Key to the Explorer here, and today I'm telling you all the things you need to know before you go to Paris for your extended weekend, because we know the world has reopened and I know you want to get to Paris, France. So stay tuned, because in this video I'm going to talk about a few things you need to know, things you need to do, places you need to eat, and a hotel recommendation all inside this video. So stay tuned. But first, if you have not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and a notification bell right next to it so you'll be notified when all of my videos are released. Videos are released on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And on my channel, I talk about all things travel and a little bit of photography. Now let's get into today's video. All right, first of all, we have to talk about the money. And I have to tell this because I went to Paris a few years ago, and one person that I went with did not understand that they have their own currency and actually asked at the place that we went to if they accepted US dollars, because this person had ran out of euros. And I'm like, oh no, it was such a rookie mistake. But this person wasn't a big traveler. So just to let you know, in France, they use euros. So if you're visiting Paris, you have to have euros or your credit card. So if you need to exchange euros, obviously you can go to a money exchange booth, you could go to a bank, or you could take money out of an ATM machine, or you can get money exchanged from a place like TravelX or your bank in the United States or wherever you're coming from, if it's possible, to euros before you leave. So they use euros, not US dollars, not anything else, euros. All right, next topic. Okay, next thing you need to know is about getting around Paris. That is very important because you need to get from point A to point B. So first of all, if you're flying into one of their airports, so they have two, you can fly into Charles de Gaulle CDG, which is their huge international airport, but it is like way outside of Paris. You can take a train, I believe. I have not tried that, but I highly suggest that you get a car reserved for you to get picked up so you can go into the city. The traffic will probably be bad getting from CDG to Paris city center. So make sure you have those arrangements in place before you even depart to head to Paris. But if you fly into Orly, which I have not flown into that airport, it is closer to the city. I still recommend having transit arranged before you go into the airport, before you depart, but it'll be quite easier and a shorter commute from that airport into the city center. But while you're in Paris, you can get around by, of course, Uber, that's available, but the best way to get around so you're not stuck in traffic is by their subway or metro rail. So you can get on that. It's affordable, it's easy to use. And if you have taken any type of subway, metro rail, wherever in the world, it is easy to figure out another map. So make sure you look at the map before you head on out and understand what stops you need to get on and off at, and understand how the fares work. It was a little strange when I first went on the metro rail on how to buy a ticket, because it had like a little rolling bar thing. And I was like, how do you operate this? But once I figured out, oh, it rolls up and down, then it was good to go. And I hopped on that train as if I was a Parisian. I was feeling all my vibes going around Paris. And of course, if you have a hotel or Airbnb that is centrally located, you can definitely take that time to walk outside of Paris. It's a very walking friendly city. Okay, so there are a lot of things to do in Paris, and there are a lot of places you can go that is outside of Paris that is easy for you to get to on a day tour. So I'm going to tell you the must-see things you must do when you go to Paris your first time. All right, the first thing is the Louvre. If you are an art fanatic, Even if you aren't, you should still try to go to the Louvre. But if you are definitely an art fanatic, you should check out this wonderful museum. But I do highly recommend that if you've never been to the Louvre, or even if you have been to the Louvre, that you study their map and their current exhibitions and their permanent collections to see what exactly you want to see and map out your route before you go to the Louvre, because that museum is huge. You could be in there the whole week and not see the whole museum. So make sure you have a plan in place before you go into the Louvre. But if you don't want to tackle such a huge museum, Paris has plenty of museums. While I was there, I also visited Musée d'Orsay, which is another wonderful art museum, not as big, and you can tackle that whole museum pretty much in one visit, but you still should understand what they have showing there and know the permanent collections so you can see if you actually want to visit the museum while you're there. But check out their other museums. There's plenty. I have not seen all the museums in Paris, but definitely check it out to see if there's something you would rather see besides the Louvre or Musée d'Orsay. Okay, this is something I highly recommend anyone to do, particularly if you're coming from the United States. And I highly recommend you do it at the beginning of your trip to Paris because it is just amazing. I went on a Black Paris tour with Ricky Stevenson. She is incredible, wonderful historian, definitely can tell great stories. She has some other people, I think 1 or 2 other people who may operate the tours besides her. And I believe there's 2 other Black Paris tour companies. And these tours not only show you different sites in Paris, but give you history about African Americans in Paris. But what I loved about Ricky Stevenson's tour is that before you even go to Paris, she provides a guide about how to dress to fit in with the locals, things to do that's like off the beaten path, you know, just a lot of things to be mindful of, like the pickpocketing and all of that jazz. And then when you get on the tour, she actually takes you and shows you, if you have not already, how to buy a ticket with the Metro, or give you recommendations on things you might actually be interested in on the tour. So it's not only just a history tour, but it's also like getting you acclimated to Paris. Highly recommend this tour. And of course, if you have never been to Paris, you should check out the Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge was not like the highest on my list after I went there, but I do highly recommend going there if you've never been. I wanted to go there because I was like, oh, I'm going to Paris, I have to go to Moulin Rouge, but it did not meet my expectations. So if you have expectations of Moulin Rouge being here, take it down to about here because it does not meet the expectations of what the Moulin Rouge is. Obviously, it's a lot of girls dancing and there's men dancing and stuff, but the dancing was just not on par, or, you know, maybe something's changed during that time. I don't know, but I still highly recommend it. It's definitely a show to see and definitely a vibe. Now, how could I save this? I should have said this first. If you're in Paris, even though you're going to see it pretty much anywhere you go, you better go check out the Eiffel Tower. You don't even have to go inside. You can go inside if you want. There's a variety of things to go inside, but make sure you look that up beforehand because there's different ways to walk up the Eiffel Tower. I believe you can go eat in there. So look that up and see if you're interested in going inside the Eiffel Tower to arrange that in advance. But you have to get pictures in front of it, and you're going to see it 9 times out of 10 when you're going around Paris. Also, another must-see is the Arc de Triomphe. If you go on the Black Paris tour, you might actually go there because there is some history at the Arc de Triomphe, but it is gorgeous and definitely something you should take a picture in front of, and you should see it during the day and at night and that's the same for the Eiffel Tower. See it during the day and at night because they look completely different and they're beautiful in both daytime and nighttime. And if you have time, take a river cruise on the Seine River. You get to see a lot of different sites along the way. I did a dinner river cruise. I don't highly recommend doing the dinner. The dinner was okay. It was tasty, it was edible, but it wasn't like the best dinner I had in Paris. So I definitely would recommend just doing a river cruise so you can see the sights and relax as you go. If you have more time, take a half-day tour to Versailles. Versailles is probably about, with traffic, like an hour outside of the city. When there's no traffic, you get there in no time. Versailles is absolutely gorgeous. And it'll be nice if you have a half-day tour, because then you can make sure you have arrangements to get there by car, see the Versailles, maybe have a tour guide, and get back. You can also take public transit out to Versailles, but it's going to take longer and a lot more logistics to get there. So I just recommend taking a tour, and I took a tour through Viator, which I will link down below. And hopefully you don't get my guide. They had plenty of guides, and I got the worst guide ever. But the other guide that was not leading our group, he was awesome, but I couldn't jump on his group because he was driving people back to a different part of Paris. But definitely check out Versailles if you have time. Lastly, if you also want to just get some nightlife vibes, they aren't really big on nightlife when I was researching it, but there are some places that you can enjoy the night scene. One of them is Bizart. It is a jazz club. They have performances, they have a bar, and it's just a nice time and a good vibe. So if you have time, check out Bizart. All right, now you have to eat. You're gonna be doing a lot of touring, especially if you're going for a short time period. So what are some places to eat? Now, mind you, I always see in Facebook groups and people complaining about the food is bad in Paris. And I'm like, you're not doing your proper research. Because every meal I had was great, except for the meal on the dinner cruise, which was good. It wasn't like magnificent or anything. I don't remember what I had, but it was good. I didn't have anything that was bad. I must say their food is incredible because they don't inject their food with hormones like in the United States. So it was like fresh food, and like I can eat more of it and not feel stuffed. Like if I eat a full meal here in the United States, you're gonna have to roll me out of the restaurant. But in Paris and France, you don't have to do that. So the top places I recommend to go eat is Sacré-Fleur. Had a wonderful, magnificent dinner at this restaurant. The food was delicious. I actually can still remember being in that restaurant and remember the taste of the food. So if you have a chance, go to Sacré-Fleur. But it's a small restaurant, so make sure you make reservations in advance in order to go there. Another place to check out is Le Comptoir. I learned about Le Comptoir on No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain on CNN, and I was like, I have to go there. So I literally got to the restaurant right when it opened for lunch because they don't take reservations, and it's a small restaurant. So if you get there later, you may have to wait in line. But that food was also magnificent. I believe their menu might change or they might add special items on a regular basis, but I had duck there and that was delicious. It was my first meal in Paris, and I knew Anthony Bourdain was not going to steer me wrong. And lastly, I didn't get to eat here because the schedule got pushed around a little bit, and by the time I got to this place, it was closed. So we looked inside like, oh, it looks so good. And this place was also recommended by Anthony Bourdain, which is Du Pain et des Idées. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, but it's bread. It's bread, it's bakery. And if you know anything about Paris, they love the croissants. And you have a lot of fresh baked goods in Paris. And this is the bakery. And this is top on my list when I go back to Paris, is to go to Du Pain des Idées and just enjoy. You want to get a nice croissant. You can find croissants all over the place, but I already know if Anthony Bourdain recommended it, it's going to be magnificent because his recommendations never steer me wrong. So make sure you try out Du Pain et des Idées and enjoy and report back, because this is one of the first places I'm going when I go back to Paris, is this bakery ASAP, and not stare outside and drool at the window because it's closed. I'm going inside next time to enjoy some baked items. Now, the last thing you need to know is about hotel, where to stay. I stayed at Hotel Vic, and it was kind of in the same arrondissement as the Eiffel Tower, but it still was a good 20-minute walk from the hotel to the Eiffel Tower. But it was right outside of a metro line. So if you're going to Paris for the first time, you may want to look at a map of Paris and look at the arrondissements. Arrondissements are like their neighborhoods. So you have like the 7th, the 9th, and all that jazz. You may want to look at the arrondissements near the Eiffel Tower or near the Arc de Triomphe or near the Louvre, and see if you can find you a hotel accommodation in one of those arrondissements. Obviously, do your research and read reviews on the hotels that you decide to pick, or Airbnbs, or whatever way you want to stay in Paris. So you definitely want to check out the arrondissements to make sure you're picking the right one. And also, if you can, try to find a hotel that is near the metro rail so you can get around Paris easily. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I actually did all of these things in, let's see, I arrived in Paris on a Thursday and I left on a Sunday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was in Paris around 3 days, and I was able to do all of the things that I just told you. So if you're going to Paris for a short time period, I definitely recommend and know that you can do all of these things. But obviously there is a pandemic going on. So with anything that you decide to do in Paris, make sure you call ahead and check out their websites. But highly recommend still, if you check out their websites, to also call ahead. But if places like the Louvre will probably have up-to-date information online, but the smaller restaurants may not. So I highly recommend calling ahead to see if they're open and what the procedures are to go visit these places while you're in Paris. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Also, comment below if you're going to Paris and what you're hoping to see while you're there, or comment any questions that you may have about my experience of going to Paris. And if you have not subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and a notification bell. And lastly, make sure you share this video with your friends, family, and your social media networks, because they may want to know how to experience Paris for a 3-day weekend as well. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever in the world you are. Bye.